Good morning everybody, thanks for joining me again. I've come along the coast a bit this morning. I'm on the South Devon coast in Torbay, about midway between Brixham and Paignton, and I've come down to Elberry Cove. Behind me is an old ruin of Lord Churston's bathhouse. He used to use it so he could discreetly get into the water without being seen. Anyway, looking at the forecast, I was hoping for a sunrise just over there, shining its light onto the side of the bathhouse. Unfortunately not to be. The sun's already come up through that very small gap and back into a bank of cloud, so I don't think I'm going to get anything. However, good opportunity with these still conditions. Apart from a few early morning swimmers, it's only 5:30 in the morning, just to try some long exposure shots and see what I end up with. So let's see what I can find, shall I? Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get any more light, so I'll make the most of it. I do like this this piece of driftwood at the high tide mark, so I'm going to use that as a feature just to lead your eye across the beach down to the bathhouse smack in the middle. Let's have a look at the setting, shall we? So at the moment I haven't had to put any filters on yet. I'm at 1/3 of a second, f13, ISO 50, and I'm just taking a couple of shots. As the log is so close in the foreground, I've had to focus on that and then focus on the rocks around the bathhouse, and then I'll have to blend those two shots together in post-processing. Well, if you watch my channel regularly, you'll know I'm always saying about putting two shots together, and I wish I'd have learnt my lesson by now. What I actually did was focus in on the bathhouse, and the log in the foreground was still in focus. So the only thing I didn't like about this composition was a bit of space down on the bottom right hand corner, so I just moved the camera around a bit just to get the piece of driftwood filling the frame and then leading you more to the bathhouse in the distance. The light still wasn't coming through the clouds, so I've done a bit of dodging and burning on the log, but that's about it. So a little disappointing, but that's how it goes. I've taken a few shots just from different places on the beach, and if any of them are any good, I'll show you them now. So because it was overcast, I decided to take the Bram Stoker approach and make the photographs look really moody. So as you can see, in black and white, I've darkened the sky, made the most of the clouds, put in a lot of contrast, and I've taken the blacks down so where the trees are, you can see there's almost no definition at all. And as I said, I moved around the beach a little bit, quite like this shot. What I was trying to do is make a leading line of the beach between the rocks on the right and the water line on the left. And again, made the most of those clouds, taking the blacks down, taking the highlights up, and a really moody shot. So as the light wasn't great, I decided to move along the coast a bit more. Well, there's quite a bit of blue sky just up here, but where the sun is, it's still shrouded in cloud, so not much light. So I'm on my way to Broadsands beach, but before I get there I can see this line of beach huts in the distance and the hillside beyond. Now I might be able to get a better shot closer up, but before I do, I'm going to just try and get a shot here with my 70 to 350mm lens. Long telephoto shot with the beach huts, hillside beyond, and there's a viaduct up there as well, so let's see if I can make a photograph of that. Well, it was wishful thinking really. The viaduct looks really nice, but the beach huts themselves are the main feature of this shot. But there's it's just too messy. The water in the foreground looks very bright, and with the houses in the top it doesn't really make much of a shot. So I focus in all the way into 350mm onto the beach. Lucky enough to see a couple of guys running along the beach in front of the beach huts. So I thought I'd do something a little different. So what I've done is used a piece of software called GIMP. It's a bit like Photoshop, but free of charge. What I've done is cut around the figures and then blurred the background, and then obviously added the figures back in. Not the greatest of edits, but as a first attempt I'm quite pleased with this. Well, I have come a little bit closer, and across the water here you can see the reflections of the beach huts in the sort of foreshore there. So what I'm trying to do is a long exposure. I've got a 10-stop filter on and 30-second exposure, and I'm going to zoom in on the front of the beach huts, get some reflection in and see what sort of shots I can get. Bit of experimentation this morning. I have no idea how good these are going to be, but it's for sure if you don't try, you're not going to find new things. So I thought I'd try another one of the blurred shots. So focusing in on the beach huts again. There was a nice line of them with the hillside behind. And as you can see, a little bit of reflection in the water just as it was lapping onto the beach. So not a bad shot on its own. But then I used the same software to make that blurred effect. So this is a linear blur, obviously up and down. You'll have to let me know whether this is something you like. Well, I came out this morning hoping to do some fine art photography of the beach huts here and the bathhouse, but it's not really working out. The light's not very good, and what I had in my head is not translating into the camera. So but that's always the case if you try and make a plan. Always I find better to come out and just wing it and see what you find. However, I do like the reflections in the water here of the beach huts, and I'm trying to make something of that. Come down onto the beach, get a bit lower, and just photographing across the beach. So this is quite a good shot in its own right. So down on the beach I could get more reflections in the water. Is a better composition and just showcases the beach huts along the beach. So at 130mm f11 to get it all in focus. And there were other smaller compositions like these three beach huts all on their own, and they were really crying out for a bit of manipulation. So I tried the vertical linear blur on this again, and with this one I've not done anything, and I've just left the reflections in the sand. And then with this next one, as you can see, I darkened it a little and just made a feature of the 3 huts. What I do like about this one, as you can see, are the lines in the doorways. I still like this shot on its own. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Well, it's been an interesting morning so far trying to get these photographs, but the light's not getting any better, so I think I'm going to call it a day. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything, and hopefully I'll see you all again next week. For now, cheerio.